hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never share, and no one dared disturb the sound of silence.
These sounds of silence are an everyday reality for the deaf community, and learning American Sign Language has given me a way to understand and become involved in that community. I didn't really start out very interested in sign language. My mother tried to teach me and my brother when I was really little, and I was failing at learning. I was getting frustrated, and finally I just gave up, decided it wasn't worth it. And then last summer, I had a great aunt who got into a vehicle accident, and what happened took her voice, but not her ability to move. We went to visit her, and I noticed that she was trying to convey what she wanted to say to us by pointing or waving at people, and I thought it would be so good for people like her to know how to use sign language, because not being able to communicate was frustrating her. When I came back to college, I brought the old books I had from when I was in elementary school back with me and started learning. And then I started finding people on campus who knew sign language. I met some deaf students, and they've started a sign language club. The more I learned about ASL, the more I decided this was an area I'd been given a gift for a reason. According to the World Federation of the Deaf, 70 million people worldwide use some form of sign communication, and it's about the 6th most used language in the United States. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean that deaf people have easy access to their own common language. They're not usually in large communities, and so when they find someone else who knows sign language, they form a strong attachment to that person. It would be like if you went to a foreign country where you spoke the language, but it wasn't your first language. So if you found someone who actually natively spoke English, you'd want to spend time with that person and get to know them, because it would give you a little bit of normalcy in your life. Another thing that's really hard for the deaf is that 90% of children who are born deaf have hearing parents, and 85% of those parents never learn sign language. They try to educate the children through lip reading or through some sort of signing that relies heavily on spoken language, and these children can get held behind in school because of this. The saddest thing that I learned with spending time with these deaf students and other people who are learning sign language is that the deaf community is very largely unevangelized. The church doesn't get involved with a lot of programs for the deaf. Some churches don't even provide an interpreter or captioning for their services, so deaf people won't attend them because they have no way to understand what's being said. And once I learned all this, I started looking for ways I could be involved more than just studying ASL as my hobby. I've started working with the interpreters at SAFMC across the street. During their services, I sign songs for them some weeks. I also would love to take more sign language classes after I graduate and get a certification through the Registry of Interpreters for the Deaf so that I could become an interpreter in classroom settings, at meetings, at churches. And also, even if I don't end up becoming an interpreter in a regular setting, I would love to foster a deaf child, because they have so much more difficulty being placed with a family because they have such a greater need when it comes to what the family's able to provide. No matter what I choose to do, I will always be grateful that I now have a way of reaching out to the people whose lives are filled with the sounds of silence.